Hey,
Here we go.
rock and roll.
Hey, what's happening, guys? Welcome back. We are The Strange Road, and this is Strange Happenings. I'm Mikey. This is Bub. Bub, what's happening?
Not much. Just, feeling the energy of the universe.
Yeah, hammering out the show the last hour and a half because,
Yeah.
let me tell you, there's been so many updates to this UAP drone situation that
I'm
we
surprised
had
I
this.
just have curled up in the fetal position from overload.
We had this episode locked in last week. All of our
Thought we
links.
did.
Thought we did.
We had the targeting system. We had we had a target acquired, and then it was just like all of our systems got jammed.
Yeah. All of you guys
Who
that
knows? Lots of
posted,
crazy stuff.
all you guys that posted in Discord, sorry, your links didn't make it. We have an incredible amount of things to go through.
There's just too much.
Maybe on the next one. I know Born Not to Run had a couple. You guys are great. What's happening, everybody in the chat? We got a good one tonight, but first, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and let's spread the word. Share this episode. The audio version's always released the next day when we do a stream. We try to get that out like midnight right away, so we turn and burn these babies. We flip them.
Yeah.
So all you guys listening, make sure you review, share, spread the word. Let's hop into it, dude.
Go ahead.
Oh, wait, you had a shout out.
I did have a shout. Well, it's not actually my shout out. It's my wife's shout out.
Yeah.
She went to a Christmas sale or like one of those like kind of pop up market type deals that Columbus does and other places as well. But around the Commons this year for Christmas, they must have had like a little Christmas winter fair. And so she was down there and she ran into Sherwin from Sherwin's Sketches.
Sketches, baby.
And
shout out to you.
She started looking at some of his stuff and she was like,
This looks familiar.
She's like, this is awesome. She's like, my husband would really like this stuff. And then she was like, have you ever heard of the Strange Road? And he, he was, oh yes, and I was just like, Sherman's awesome. I was like, he's fantastic. We've actually known him for quite some time now and seen him at multiple events.
Oh yeah.
And got some of his artwork and we'll have to get his Instagram and throw it into the show notes or if
at
somebody
Sherwin
wants to grab
Sketches,
it.
but we'll have it in the
chat.
We'll have it in the link too. Born Not to Run.
Yeah, check out his work.
Find that for us. Best mod in the damn town.
Absolutely.
In the universe, I should say.
Absolutely. We need to start a side channel, Born Not to Run, you and I, because I'm not a financial advice giver, but I know that you like to dabble, and we could talk.
Bubble, talk your ear off.
We could talk digital turkey.
Yeah.
Greetings, overlords. That's strong. Are we talking to all the drones and the things that are flying overhead? Because you know what? I just started driving around, and now I'm wondering. Hold on, we'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get there.
Well, I know something's happening because there's a lot of people that all of a sudden out of the blue are reaching out. Shout out to Bill Holman. Hit me up yesterday. Today, out of the blue, I get hit up by Michael Lee Hill. Some of you guys might remember him from UFO Hunters. And our friends, Dave and Jacqueline Senapass. I know, David, you might be watching.
Oh, cool.
So shout out to them. Hope everybody is doing amazing. We're going to do our best to hop right into this because it doesn't seem like anybody knows what is going on.
I mean, let's put it this way.
No answers.
Let's put it this way. You're in Antarctica. And they have a hot tub, and you're like, is the water warm? And you're like, it's on fire right now. It's being fed by a geothermal spring of just raw heat. Yeah. That's what's happening, is the heat is up to an 11 right now. It went full Spinal Tap.
Well, it just hasn't stopped. Every single day, there's more sight. Now they're moving up into
it's not going to stop.
New York. There's sightings in California. Are these drones? Are these UAPs considered? Are they UAP drones? Is all I've been calling them because, they're unidentified. The Pentagon's not taking any credit that it's any of ours. They're saying,
I don't know if we have the clip. I don't know who the lady is, but she denies that.
Yeah,
I think she denies it's part of ours.
The Pentagon official.
It's weird how it kind of has gone back and forth. We're like, kind of some are like, yeah, it's, and then no, and then there's no real.
Well, we don't have an article for it, but one of the House of Representatives talked about Iran with there being a mothership off of the coast. I
did see
that. Was like last week. That was like ancient history when he came out and said that. And then they were launching these drones from a mothership, and it was Iran. But he couldn't tell you his source. I mean, that's like ancient history. That was like last week, so that didn't make it.
Well, okay. Well, yeah. Yeah. That's a bit of a stretch for me. But anyhow, we'll get there.
I'm going to go through this timeline. I think maybe that's
Yeah,
a
you
good
want me to
start.
jump into that?
Yeah.
All right. Let me, I got to figure out where I put it. I almost made a joke. There we go. So drone sightings. And this is just, like Mikey said, we're trying to keep eye on the prize here the last couple of weeks. And I mean, I really started throwing these links in, I don't know, a while back already.
Should we start about maybe we should start on the show 2 weeks ago that we did about the web bot. And the day
There you go.
after
Fair enough.
the
Put
web
that
bot,
in there. Yeah.
the day after the web bot prediction
Well,
it
is called web bots.
Yes.
If you want to look it up, it's called web bots. You can Google it. There you go. It's not a web bot. It's weird because it's kind of like the name is hidden inside. There are web bots, but this is the specific kind of trade name of this specific model that did it. Anyone that wants to look into it.
So that would have been December 6th. It predicted that there'd be some kind of alien invasion. We covered it here 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And then boom. But, these sightings were happening a little bit before that, going back to November, but it really became on everybody's radar, right after we did that strange happening. So this has been going on for the last 2 weeks. Last week we had some stuff going on, so we didn't get to do an episode. Well, we were batch recording massive amounts of new episodes, by the way, guys. We got some great stuff coming out. But
it started in November, like you said.
Yeah.
So November 18th is really kind of when it kicked off, and it said, mysterious drones started appearing in the east, and this is from USA Today. And it said witness accounts began spotting several large drones in New Jersey, measuring around 6 feet in diameter at night, usually between dusk to 11 p.m. So, maybe at this time they're kind of being a little bit more sneaky. They're not just broad day like this or that, right? Picking their time.
Yeah.
Morris County Prosecutor's Office in New Jersey says patrolmen from law enforcement spotted the drones. The prosecutor's office says several agencies, including federal and state and law enforcement partners, would, quote, coordinate, monitor, investigate the drone activity. So that's on the 18th of November. So it's just kicking off. That's what I'm saying. This is going to get hectic. So on the 22nd of November, FAA issues the first of 2 temporary flight restrictions prohibiting drones over the Trump National Golf Club in Bedminster, New Jersey, through December 6th. So that's when the web bots is kicking off that we're talking about. The second one was later issued on December 4th, so I'm not sure how they could have a 6th and 4th. That seems weird. Extending the restriction through December 20th. Sorry. So it went through December 20th on the extension. FAA told USA Today the move came, quote, at the request of federal security partners. I don't know what that means. Who's federal security partners? What 3-letter agency is federal security partners? Do we have one?
I would say that sounds like
DHS?
a private corporation to me.
No. Really?
Maybe. I mean, Federal Express.
Federal security partners. Boeing? Lockheed?
Sounds like some private corporation
Raytheon?
that's trying to sound official.
What the? I didn't even know. Hold on. Wow. We're all being blown away right now.
You know the old saying, they're about as federal as Federal Express.
That's not the saying I was thinking of when you said.
Well, no, let's not go there. That's not.
Oh, onward. Yeah, but anyhow, I know what you mean. So on the 25th of November, the saga continues. The FAA issues a temporary flight restriction over the Picatinny Arsenal military base in Morris County, New Jersey, effective through the 26th of December. Now we move on to the last event in November, and it's on the 26th, the following day, and a medvac helicopter is prevented from picking up an injured car crash victim at the Raritan Valley Community College in Branchburg, New Jersey, because drones were spotted in the area. School spokesperson told that to US Today on December 4th. Did not hear that. Now it's impacting our ability to fly and do healthcare. That's pretty. It's heating up a little bit.
That's old news too. That's 2 weeks
old.
ago.
And this is on the same day. Landing site is relocated away from campus, which is commonly used as a landing site for helicopters from the New Jersey State Police Emergency Medical Services Response Program. Good, and you made that an acronym for emergency transports. Woo! And now we move into the current timeline of this month. So on the 1st of December, same place in New Jersey, Morris County, there's a resident there that says she sees 5 drones at night in her neighborhood near the Boonton, I hope I'm saying that right, Boonton Reservoir in, Parsippany. The next night, she sees 4 hovering and moving around in different directions. Next day, 2 days later, December 3rd, Morris County Prosecutor's Office, drone sightings. They say, quote, they They pose no known threat to public safety. How do they know that? I mean, I get what they're trying to do. You don't want to incite a panic. Like, the last thing you want is people to, like, really start setting their hair on fire. Not literally, but, you know. But how do they know that there's no significant... That's kind of interesting. Same day, FBI jumps into the mix. Hello, throw them into the cookie batter. They issue a statement revealing drones have been reportedly seen flying in several areas along the 70-mile Raritan River in New Jersey. Agency did not specify exactly where the sightings along the 70-mile river were. A week later, on the 10th, Cory Booker of New Jersey posts a letter urging several agencies to investigate the drone sightings, including FBI, Department of Homeland Security, and the FAA. Day later, New Jersey closed-door briefing about the drones is held at state police headquarters, where lawmakers are told that investigators have been unable to electronically detect the drones despite the frequent sightings. Wow. Yeah. So now we can't detect them. Okay. A New Jersey Assemblyman, Paul Kanitra, says federal officials sent over an electro-optical infrared camera. Okay, that was a mouthful as well. Designed to detect drones within 1 to 2 miles, even in the dark. Pentagon Deputy Press Secretary, this is the girl you're talking about earlier, I think, Sabrina Singh, says state and local authorities have the right to take any action against the drones if they pose a threat to military installations. So that's kind of a, hey, they get close to the military spots, I guess, go ahead. It's kind of a loose rules of engagement, like, but, you know, I guess
they're over
all in all, protect if there's sensitive things or, you know, volatile things at some of those installations. Man, December 12th. Former Maryland governor Larry Hogan sees, quote, dozens of large drones above his home at night in Davidsonville, Maryland. He wrote on X the next morning. In his post, he announces he is joining the list of lawmakers demanding answers on the origins of the drones. Rep. Chris Smith, Republican from New Jersey, calls the Biden administration. We don't need to talk about that. Well, I guess he's saying the administration's dismissive about the reported sightings, argued it has failed its obligation to the American people to figure out. Haven't heard anything official that I've heard from the White House on this or anything.
No, they had the Pentagon come out and make the statement. The
Maybe
White
we'll get
House,
to it.
I could be wrong, but
I don't know enough about on that one. But
Karine St. Pierre,
Karine Jean-Pierre,
yeah.
I don't know.
I haven't heard
KGP.
Yeah, KGP. Press secretary for the president. Haven't heard.
I don't know that I've heard anything about this. Maybe she has, but we'll have to look into that. And if anybody has anything, don't. Fact check us in real time if you have it. Throw it in the chat.
Somebody did say earlier in the chat that there's some sightings and some weird things going on in Southern Ohio. Imagine that.
You know, so I looked up the other night. And I don't know if it was because of full moon or what
TJ
it
Owens
was.
is down south. You know something's happening.
But it had a halo around the moon at night. Yeah. I don't know if it was just the cloud and the condensation or whatever. It was beautiful. Mm-hmm. So after that one, let's get to the next one. So Democrat U.S. Senator Cory Booker of New Jersey and Andy Kim, New Jersey, Kristen Gillibrand, New York, and Chuck Schumer, New York, posted a joint letter to the Department of Homeland Security, FBI, and FAA on Wednesday requesting a briefing on how agencies will identify and address the sources of these incursions. Let's get to Friday the 13th. December, Friday the 13th. Trump criticizes the government for not explaining the swarm of drones. Let the public know and now otherwise shoot them down, which is kind of some of the rhetoric and things we're talking about. Like, how can we just have things flying over?
If they're over suburban, they're going to come down an old boy's backyard.
Well, that's one thing.
Or on your house.
Granted, that's a big problem there.
But you know what? 50 of them coming out of the ocean. How about that?
We'll get there.
You know,
same day.
You could shoot those down.
Right. Well, New York Gov. Hochul says on X that New Yorkers reported similar sightings as the one in Jersey, and says the state is investigating alongside FBI and DHS. She assures the sightings do not pose any imminent threat. Again, I don't know how. She says not just to public. She said public and or national safety. What's the first thing you do in an emergency in a problematic situation? You say, don't panic. Everything's fine. There's nothing wrong here.
The governors and all them are panicking.
We are being sued like me riding that horse in Zelda, just patting its neck and feeding it swift carrots. That horse will love me by the end. But that's interesting. There's a lot of bolstering to stay comfortable, be comfortable. I get that. I'm not trying to rock the waves. I'm just saying This is strange.
This isn't 1942 where they thought people were going to freak out and
this is
the
equivalent.
Whole civilization would collapse if they told us ETs and beings from inner dimensions existed. This is not that time.
Look,
we can handle it.
Look,
well, maybe us and all these guys out here.
Look, this would be like if right now, if I moved myself out to the middle of nowhere and my dog didn't see the mailman or anybody anymore, right? Because he barks at all.
Needs the mailman.
That's what I'm saying.
He hates the
so imagine just one day a year, and it only happens like once in 40 years. Because I've never seen anything like this happen in my entire life.
What did they call it?
A flap.
A flap.
That's what I called it. I said
UFO
we're living
flap.
through a flap.
Yeah.
But imagine Ruben doesn't have all these things now that he barks at all the time, and he's never seen them. But he imagines about the postman, and he imagines about the Amazon delivery guy. And one day, every one of them shows up on the doorstep at a cabin in remote woods where he's not supposed to see these things, and he's just lose. That's what we are. That's what I feel like now.
We're your dog.
This is not something normal. Even if it's just a foreign entity, even if it's our own governmental technology,
or
we're notoriously
military-industrial complex companies
quiet about our stuff. I think that's why
if
we'll
it's
get
not
there.
The Pentagon, who else could it be?
But that's what I'm saying. We're
programs.
We're notoriously quiet about our stuff. What if it's a modern day H.G. Wells just enactment of War of the Worlds to see how we would react?
Yeah.
And they just don't want to tell us because we're in the middle of the giant societal milligram experiment. We'll get there. We got a lot to go through yet in this one. There's still more in this. Hold on.
I think it's mixed in. It's not one thing.
Hold on. This is the last one.
Okay,
Democrat New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy pens a letter urging President Biden to send more resources to the state to fully understand what is behind this activity. So there's people that across the aisles, across states, across countries, across military and public spaces. I mean, we haven't even got to the real meat of this episode, and I'm already full. Come on. Sweet baby Jesus in a swaddled up blanket. I mean,
as good as this is, I just can't get when you scared me earlier today, dude.
Oh, I got you so good.
You got me so bad.
I should have filmed that one. I don't know why I didn't film that one.
You're not posting those.
I need to start wearing like a camera. Like
one of these days, you're gonna get hit real hard. It's not gonna be my fault. You're just gonna get rocked.
Not today. Not if today's any response.
I thought you were some creepy.
I thought I was a demon. Calabrimbo! All right, so let's move on to the fact that we've already kind of mentioned, hey, we've had it over public spaces and airports. We've had issues at airports. And again, not just in the U.S., also over in the UK.
Yeah.
And probably because, I don't want to sound neurotic here, narcissistic as a country, but it's probably because of our military bases over there and what we're doing, because it's happening a lot at joint bases where U.S. and Royal Air Force Base kind of mix. You get what I'm saying? So like, we have a presence there. So I'm not sure if it's all U.S. driven or if it's partially. It's tough to tell. It seems like it's mostly pointing at us. But anyways, this one comes from TWZ, and this is about what happened recently. And drone incursions closed down Wright-Patterson Air Force Base's airspace Friday night. Friday night?
Oh, wait, hold on. We're not going there yet.
Wait, why? I thought we were doing 2 articles in a row.
Are we, Kyle?
Am I wrong about that?
I think we're going to do a couple of videos.
You want to do the videos and then we'll go here?
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I spilled the tea on what we're going to talk about, but that's all right. We'll get to it.
Some of you may have heard about it, but we always got the antenna of what's going on.
And I'm just going to say, if you had a bingo card for this drone flap, WPAFB was eventually going to be on there. I mean,
there's no doubt.
Pat
always gets brought into the mix. Always.
It's deep. Okay, let's go. Let's go.
The night, just getting home from work.
Tonight, as the mysterious sighting spread from Maryland to New York, New Jersey.
I've never seen anything like it.
And beyond. So too do calls from local and state officials for answers and accountability.
No state can become the Wild West of drone activity.
And now high-profile officials are among those reporting sightings. Last night, former Maryland Governor Larry Hogan says he captured this video appearing to show dozens of large drones hovering over his home. The same evening, U.S. Senator Andy Kim says he saw this over a reservoir while out drone hunting with local police.
Some appear to hover or at least seem to be in position.
That sighting among the 79 reports overnight in New Jersey,
this is old,
according
too.
to a senior official.
This is like
with
2-3
reports
days
every
ago.
evening.
That's okay.
But that's kind of a good clip of just some of the different drones that have been captured from people on the ground.
There's a lot. Well,
you can't YouTube drone compilation. Like, somebody out there, please just make a whole clip. Maybe we have to do it. Of all the different videos from people.
I'm sure somebody will do that work.
Yeah.
Hopefully AI by now is already
Because
making
we got overwhelmed by the amount of videos to go through to try to choose what we covered.
That's what would actually be nice if they just integrated that with YouTube and you could be like, hey, AI, go in there, find me, make me a drone compilation of all the videos from the last week, and it would be like,
be rad.
That'd be great. We'll get there. Yeah, that's wild stuff. I mean, again, this isn't just, what puts more to it again this time, and it's not like people of prominence haven't seen weird things in the past, right? We've got some very prominent people from, I think, ex-presidents to governors.
Jimmy Carter and
professional athletes, all kinds of stuff, right? Where, have these kind of weird one-offs. And so, again, it's not just like, Joe Bob from the middle of BFE nowhere and
governor
is seeing this and you're going, okay, maybe you're just, seeing stuff at night and maybe it's swamp gas. This is a lot of people this is in major cities too. Mm-hmm. Major cities.
Suburbs, yeah. Stone, you got a couple more videos.
Weird.
We can just roll through these. We'll just react and see what there we go, full screen. Yeah, this one is interesting. This is one of the early ones too. So you can see kind of the size of this thing. Pretty clear photo, pretty clear video. But again, sifting through what's AI, what's not. You see, there's a lot of weird videos, but I mean that one's interesting because it's one of the early ones from a couple weeks ago. But that's a big craft. Whatever that is, for those of you listen. It's got red lights. They're flashing on the front. There's more white lights underneath it. But it seems like there's lights on all four corners of this thing.
There's just so much that doesn't make a lick of sense about any of that.
Yeah.
What if they're delivering packages for Amazon? Agreed, Burton. I appreciate that comment because I've said that before that, in the future, instead of like, how we get our modems for our cable and our internet and we rent those basically from the provider. Well, in the future, Amazon will you'll sign up for, hey, you want drone delivery? Great. It'll be $200 a month for you to rent your drone. That'll be large enough. You'll never leave your house. You just need a launch pad. And you'll send that thing out. It'll get your stuff. You'll bring it back. There'll be whole highways, skyways for this stuff. That's the thing.
They're flying, following FAA flight regulations.
That's what the drones will have to do. But these drones here, what's going on here? I can't take my private citizen drone and fly it with impunity over these spaces. Like, where's the scrambling of jets?
Look how the lights all of a sudden just flicker and change. And
what if that was a threat, though? I mean, so far they haven't been a threat, but what if that's just like, hey, we're going to put a device on this drone and just fly it over like, and then
that's a good stop right there. Look at that. Stone's got it stopped here now.
That looks like some stuff from Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I'm sorry.
Right.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
If it's aliens, I'm here for it.
I want it to be. I don't want it to be our deep black op government just
I'll
doing
tell you
psyops on us.
I'll tell you what. If we get aliens actually show up this year, I'll never ask for anything for Christmas again.
2025, the year of 2024.
I'll never make another New Year's resolution because I'll already be on the path. We'll be there. We'll be intergalactic and we'll be listening to Daft Punk on a UFO flying to different galaxies.
Harder, better, faster.
Could you imagine? Be like, you guys got the ride. Now we got the jams. You guys might have interstellar travel down, but we actually have fun and music down. Like I've never heard anybody getting abducted and they're like, the soundtrack that they played on that, Close Encounter Abduction was just legit. I got to get that Spotify playlist. Nobody does that. So we know we've got that locked down. And so maybe that's how we'll bridge the gap with our newfound friends, if that's really what's going on. That's what I'm going to offer. That's all I got because you got me beat at everything else.
Yeah, I think that's a mixture because some of these videos, if they're real, are pretty interesting.
Oh, yeah.
We'll keep going.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, we'll do some more.
Keep running, running, and running,
Bill and
running.
Sandra, when things like this are happening,
So this
it
one's
seems
interesting.
everyone
Oh, would
starts
you look
to
at it?
look up
Just
like
look
my
at that.
crew
Would you just
and
look
I
at
have
that?
been here in Mendham
Just take a look at it.
recording this video that you're looking at right now. We have
What? So
Okay.
it's just this amorphous,
It's
like kind of like
a plasma ball.
sphere,
Plasma ball of sphere.
right?
that's-
But does this shapeshift?
this is I believe the one that Stone sent me the other day.
No, we do
That
not have a
starts-
drone that big, Papa
Starts
Stone.
turning into a drone.
Well then.
I'm pretty certain that's what this
Okay,
is.
that's
not.
hold on. And I'm sure other people in the chat and watching this have seen this too, or saw pictures or images of some of these drones where you're like, what the hell
There
is
it goes. It's starting to morph now.
that? Right, but they almost look like a really bad kid's drawing of like a paper airplane. Or like some of the accounts I've heard historically where I'd never heard this before, and I started hearing it once stuff like this started cropping up.
Yeah.
And I want to say it might have been Richard Doty was in it, which with him, you got to take it with a grain of salt because he's a disinformation guy. But what people said back in the day was they would have sightings, they would see it would be a airplane, but it wasn't like any airplane they'd ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Like the wings weren't big enough to actually support the body size,
Yeah.
and like the sound it was making, and it was flying too slow, and all this weird stuff. To basically, what they were saying was they can shapeshift. Like the UFOs and the drones can basically shapeshift to take on a shape of what we're familiar with, or maybe what they see up in the traffic. Like, think of a
Put a
cuttlefish.
hologram around it.
Think of a cuttlefish. Think of an octopus. Think of some of these
Octopus.
animals that
Yeah.
literally are
chromatophores changing.
not just that, they'll shapeshift. The one octopus
Yeah.
is like the best like mimic. I think it's called the mimic octopus.
Are aliens, bro. They
Correct.
have to
But
be.
I think it's called the mimic. It'll mimic a poisonous sea snake. It'll mimic
Yeah.
a certain other type of fish. It mimics like a rockfish. If there was an intelligent species that could travel through space and what have you, whatever's going on here, maybe it's a combination. We talked about mixing hardware with wetware in an episode one time where we talked about computers being combined with mushrooms.
Oh yeah.
That was a real science article.
Fungus computer network.
Right, because now you have this mixture of intelligence, like artificial with natural intelligence.
And a
then
network of
bound.
thought. Cerebral network, basically, is what it was.
Yeah, really crazy stuff. And then you start hearing Grush when he started talking about this, saying non-human intelligences, non-human biologicals.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Biological crafts.
Right.
Yeah.
What if the interpretive knife can be sliced so many ways
that's
here?
what those jellyfish UAPs are.
Those are on another level too.
You know, that creepy thing that just kind of rolls through. The chat's crushing it right now.
We got someone near WPAFB in Serpent Mountain, so if you see anything out that way strange, please drop us a comment, link,
let
video,
us know.
whatever it is. Hit us up on the socials or email us, whatever you can do. We would really appreciate it. We'd love to put it up on here if somebody catches something cool or interesting. Or
Hit us up in the Discord. Links are in the description.
Yeah. What's the
hit us up.
What's your next step here? Because you keep tossing up these videos.
He's
to me.
got
I'm
more.
gonna- oh my God.
He's got more.
Feed me, Seymour.
Feed me. Oh, we forgot to shout out Stoner in Master Control earlier.
Say what now? Yeah. Oh.
What? This is an image.
Just
okay.
a still shot. So let's describe this. I can't really see that well.
Full screen on that, buddy? Bien.
Enhance.
There it is.
What
Oh,
are you
that's
looking
that
at here?
daylight one. That's the one in broad daylight.
That looks like Doc Brown's car come back from the future with Marty in the sports magazine. Jeez, Jeez.
Beckett. Or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, sports almanac.
Yeah, the almanac.
Oh, Biff.
Old Biff becomes a multi-millionaire.
I'll tell you what. That's another intriguing concept. And that's from, what's the guy's name? Michael Masters? I think Brandon Thomas said he's had him on a couple times. Michael Masters was recently on Ancient Apocalypse with Graham.
Oh,
Hancock.
yeah.
And Michael Masters is, I believe, a professor at the University of Montana or Wyoming or somewhere out in the great northwest of the U.S. And he has a theory that some of these out-of-place, like time pieces, artifacts, constructs, whatever you want to call them,
Yep.
he doesn't think they're a past us in the sense of like, oh, it's a missing link between whenever We think humanity started and there was another civilization, 100,000, 200 million, whatever. He thinks it's us from the future, time traveling back to time periods where we know there wasn't anybody around, so we're not going to interact with them. The whole butterfly effect, you don't want to come back and kill your grandfather, whatever.
Right.
So you go to a time 6 million years ago. There's nobody here. Rock and roll. There's no dinosaurs. Awesome. Have your fun. You build a city. It gets buried by all the dirt and sediment that comes through millions and billions of years whenever you pick this time. And then we scoop it out and we go, what is happening
Remember
here?
we talked about that with Mike Ricksecker when he was on the show.
I want to talk about that with him again. I want to talk to Michael Masters too. I would love to talk to him. I need to talk to Brandon about that, I think.
Remember Mike said those, I guess, what would you call them? The basically the rules of time travel that we all come across in movies. Remember, I was asking Mike, could this be real? Could, like, you know, the grandfather effect and some of those things. Like, you don't want to contact your grandfather because then he won't be born in the future. And the way he explained it was that none of those rules really would exist. Like, that's not a real thing. That's just like Hollywood. But he had a great explanation.
Wait a minute. You don't think if you go back and like take out your grandfather or your father that like it wouldn't affect you coming around?
Remember he said that then the future becomes the present. We talked about that. Where you're basically when
so it's
wherever
immutable.
You go.
So wait, how could you not change the future then? I don't know. We'll have to go in deeper on that sometime because you got me.
If you guys, that's been a while. That was last year. God, that was a great episode.
It was.
But he has an awesome book about time travel. Yeah, shout out to Mike. Good dude. He's coming back on the show.
Yeah. Where are we at now?
I think we got. Kyle, did you say that was the last one?
Oh, we still have that one.
We still got that one. Cool. We have this video of this drone operator that got his drone not shot down. We don't know what happened. It's like EMP'd, all of a sudden the battery.
Full battery.
Yeah.
Everything was going good.
There you go.
Yeah.
Michael B., an experienced drone pilot and CEO of Terror Talk. Michael, big welcome to you. And thankfully, you sent us some video from one of your spotters in Hillsborough, New Jersey. And we're going to pull this up here and show our viewers there's a big red dot. There you see it, kind of dead center of the screen. What do you think that is? What do you think people are seeing in the skies? And why only at night?
At this point, I think that someone knows what they are. So what we're doing is we're going to go up and watch you. You're watching us or you're doing whatever. So we're up there watching, we're following, we're trying to get in the air. What they could be, I have no idea.
Okay. We have more video that you sent us of you, in fact, trying to launch a drone, and it was right near an airport. So tell us what happened there and why it's so noteworthy.
Okay, so we got reports last night that there was a lot of drone activity in the East Hanover area, which backs up to Morristown Airport and all that vicinity. So we head out there. We set up in a parking lot about a quarter mile away from the airport. And I'm trying to get flight clearance to take the drone up and see what this other drone is, and I cannot. Restricted. I tried to bypass it. At one point, it even asked for my phone number. And I said, no, I think we're good at this point.
Wait, his phone number?
Okay, now hang on. When you say looking for flight clearance, how does that work? I mean, are you literally talking with a control tower, or what are you doing?
So there's an app that you use to connect to the drone. When it's time, when you want to fly, you press a button, and what it does is it looks for flight clearance or restrictions. And what happened was there was a restriction in that area, and I couldn't get up.
But
like there were drones in the air.
Geofence it off,
That
I can't fly a drone at my house at all. That's the Ohio State Airport.
That's
like,
their restricted airspace.
Yeah, anywhere in that neighborhood, and it's
bring it down to the Audubon.
Miles. Yeah, for sure.
I'm gonna go down there and fly one.
But I always have to get like a couple miles away.
That's a bummer. Well,
Copper Chartreuse, I know who you are. Hi, welcome. It has been a while. We actually shouted you out earlier in the show if you're just joining us. But yeah, there is somebody that I might know that's going on, and looks like we might be chatting a little bit, maybe tomorrow perhaps. But welcome. Good to see you guys. But yeah, let's hit it. I think that was now. I think it's time for Right Pat.
There you go. So Right Pat in Ohio, largest military installation, and it's the latest to report mysterious drone flying over its airspace. And this comes from the War Zone, twz.com. Here's a quote. I can confirm small aerial systems were spotted over Wright Pat Air Force Base between Friday night and Saturday morning, which it was Friday the 13th.
Yep.
Base spokesman Bob Pertiman told the War Zone on Sunday in response to our questions about the sightings, quote, today leaders have determined that they did not impact base residents, facilities, or assets. Well, that's nice. The Air Force is taking all appropriate measures to safeguard our installations and residents. Not really. And I'm really trying to be nice here because I feel bad if they can't do anything about it. Mm-hmm. But if you could do something about it, I'd like to see the effort. Mm-hmm. But again, we talked about this earlier, right? Maybe it's like the Battle of Los Angeles. If you guys don't know what that is, happened out in L.A. and I don't know what, the 50s, 60s, somewhere around there. I'm not great with this, so I'm not going to give hard and fast. I just know the rough outline. I'm like the Cliff Notes for most stuff.
The Battle of L.A.
Battle of Los Angeles. Boom. Rage Against the Machine named an album after it, I think. Yeah. But they shot at all these unidentifiable lights and orbs, and they were firing heavy anti-aircraft artillery, right? Like trying to, and I don't think they ever shot one down that they talked about. I don't remember hearing any stories about like we found stuff then, and so it's just kind of interesting. Like this goes over Wright Pat Air Force Base, and I say it because I used to live near there. Yeah, I drove down the wrong lane one day, and like they were like, "Nope, you come down here," and they like gave me the 411 and like questioned me up and down about like,
you don't want
what are you doing down here? I'm like, I'm 19 and stupid, and I took a wrong turn, dude. I just got done going swimming. I want to go back to my dorm now, but so it's weird. I don't get it. That's airspace where it's not just like don't put a drone up over it, but like you put a drone over it, you're gonna have somebody knocking on your door next day.
Yep.
Anyhow, so the drones ranged in sizes and configurations. Pertiman said. Our units are working with local authorities to ensure the safety of base personnel, facilities, and assets. That's nice. After the drones were seen over Wright Pat, a notice to airmen, notice to airmen, a NOTAM, N-O-T-A-M, a notice to airmen was issued, closing the airspace between Friday night and Saturday morning. It has since been reopened. And let's see, the next part. Wright Pat is a critical installation for the U.S. Air Force, home to the Air Force Research Lab, Air Force Material Command, the 655th Intelligence, Surveillance and Reconnaissance Wing, the National Air and Space Intelligence Center, the 445th Airlift Wing, and the Host 88th Air Base Wing, among other base tenants. So it's kind of like Wright Pat is like a Hollywood movie lot with every big movie studio there of military and secrecy and kind of, goes back. So the confirmation of drones over the base came a day after the FBI and DHS, FAA, and Department of Defense held a joint press conference to address the growing concern about sightings over the U.S., mostly in the airspace above New Jersey. Since then, there's been a flood of mostly unconfirmed and erroneous reported sightings throughout New Jersey. Well, of more than 5,000 tips called into a national hotline setup to deal with these sightings, fewer than 100 generated leads, which, again, we talked about it earlier. What's the rate of how many are real or not real? So might be off there by a large percentage, Stone, but at least 100 were deemed worthy of further investigation. So 100, that's still a lot. I don't care. FBI spokesman told reporters, including from the War Zone on Saturday. The overwhelming majority of these sightings, as we have previously reported, are crewed aircraft, the official reiterated on Saturday. Crewed by who? I don't get it. Doesn't make sense. Whatever. Most of the reports of the UAS have originated from the ground, with very, very few reports of UAS activities from pilots of manned aircraft, said the FBI official, speaking on condition of anonymity. Overlaying the visual sightings reported to the FBI with approach patterns for Newark, Liberty, JFK, and LaGuardia airports. The density of reported sightings matches the approach patterns of these very busy airports, flights coming in throughout the night. So what they're saying is these are flights. They match the flight patterns. I'm getting conflicting messages here. I'm really getting conflicting messages.
They layer bullshit in with half-truths,
Well, like they said in the next turn, still we have reported in the past there are several confirmed drone sightings in New Jersey reported by trained observers at Picatinny and Naval Weapons Station Earl in New Jersey. Coast Guard vessel off New Jersey also had a recent encounter with what it called multiple low-altitude aircraft. U.S. officials are still trying to discover the origin of the drones that appeared over 4 U.S. air bases in the U.K. They've been spotted over RAF Lakenheath, RAF Mildenhall, RAF Feltwell, all within close proximity, and RAF Fairford, about 130 miles to the west. So a couple of these bases really close. You got another one out to the corner. DoD officials continue to claim that they are neither dangerous nor actions of foreign adversaries, even though these drones remain a mystery. I don't know how you say it's not a problem, but okay, well, I'll go with you here. Quote, we have no intelligence or observations that would indicate that they were aligned with a foreign actor or that they had malicious intent, but just kind of simply to tell you we don't know. We have not been able to locate or identify the operators who are the points of origin. The main point is to deter the activity using some of our electronic means that can respond to most of these small commercial systems and deny them access to our airspace over our bases. We don't know what the activity is. We don't know if it is criminal, but I will tell you that it is irresponsible. Here on the military side, we are just as frustrated with the irresponsible nature of this activity. Such ambiguity is wearing thin on the public. Amen.
Clearly.
As people are increasingly demanding clarity from the federal government on this issue. Right Pat is just the latest in a long string of drone sightings over sensitive facilities and military capabilities. A few days ago, Ramstein, a few days ago in Germany at Ramstein Air Force Base, joined the growing list of places registering unknown drone overflights. I Googled a list earlier from AI of all the places that are having drone activity, and it was
ChatGPT'd it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was pretty interesting. Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot going on, you know, and
hey,
I just feel deflated.
We've got a friend, David Lonebear. I see you hanging out in the chat. Welcome. Earlier, he said, we were talking about this earlier. He said, why now? We were talking about this earlier.
Blue beam.
Right. What's this? Is it a sleight of hand trick? He says they've been here a long time. Yeah, and if some of them are actual ET, some of them aren't. It's a mixture. You know what I mean? Who knows? Because some of them just look like really big, standard kind of. They're high technology. Don't get me wrong, but they look like some of them look like straight up UFOs. And extraterrestrial. I've seen a lot of videos at this point. Again, it's really tough to even know what's real or not real. Yeah, 90% of the time. But I don't know. Yeah, I would like to see it. I'd like to see something myself. I haven't seen anything like that yet. These interdimensional beings, we've talked about. Not saying people aren't seeing it forever. They've been here. They've been here since ancient times. The rock art, all of the signs point to that they're down in the ocean, under the ground. They've been, hiding in essentially plain sight. They could be here, or we've communicated with them somehow. I actually saw something the other day where I thought, you know what? I think, and this was just my hypothesis for a moment when I was thinking it, but it kind of looked like they had drawn these cave art, what we would interpret almost kind of looked like an alien now, and it looked like a mushroom. Yeah. It had all the kind of striations of the gills underneath it, and it was weird because I was like, what's going on there? Because Terrence McKenna and just kind of some of his background too on that, and just even the evolution of the stoned ape theory, and so it's makes you start to wonder. Mm-hmm. Is that a precursor to an idea that now we've gotten to? Because again, can't say one way or the other if these are alien tech. Can't say if they're government. Nobody's claiming it. Nobody's claiming it. You know what? If I was another country, I'd be like, those are mine. Well, maybe not. Hold on. Yeah, okay. Maybe I wouldn't. Maybe then we'd be incurring some wrath. Hold on. Maybe let me rethink that. Yeah, I wouldn't do that necessarily because maybe that would start But the goal right now is to sow as much confusion as possible in the general public. There's actually something bigger happening, going on, and it's not P. Diddy. What do you think's happening? You don't think it's Diddy? I don't know. It's something beyond that. I think there's something right now, all the focus, I guess maybe not all the focus, because you still talk to people. A lot of people don't know this is happening.
The drones?
It has not
or
broken
whatever they
through.
are?
No.
Can we get a pulse check? Anybody in here not
Everybody
heard about
in
this?
here
Everybody's
is
heard
gonna.
about this.
Yeah, everybody here.
Okay. Anybody know anybody that's not heard of this? Who knows a lot of people that have not heard of this? I would like to hear.
I will tell you, my wife's place where she works, no one's talking about
Shut
this.
up.
Bet me.
Shut up. This
Bet
is
me.
mainstream news at this point. This is not even just like
people don't care.
This isn't
People
even just
don't
like,
care,
after
bro.
Thanksgiving conversation and half
No.
a box of wine deep.
There's people still arguing about the election.
This is bagel in the morning with coffee conversation.
Yeah, there's still people hung up on the election when we have all of this insane stuff happening right
I could see
now.
that. I could see that happening.
And when
I could get
all
it.
this started rolling out last year, when we started doing this show, we said, wow, we're going to look back and go, this is the beginning. You're going to look back in 10 years ago. This was the year where it started getting real weird.
Yeah.
The UAP. Now, dude, we're at a whole nother level. Remember back then, we're like, oh, they're going to fall off and not tell us anything. And there's not going to be anything that's happening. Everybody's going to go back to sleep.
Do you know what's funny?
That's not the case at all.
When we actually first started all this, we were like jazzed just because of the fact of how on board people were with the thought of like cryptids and Sasquatch and this and that. And UFOs and aliens and stuff was still like a very...
It's our shared interest from when we were
It
kids.
is, but what I'm saying is, for a lot of years as water cooler talk at work for me, do you know how many people would take you seriously if you said you thought there were UFOs or aliens? Not kidding.
Oh, no.
You know how many people are like,
nobody
oh,
would take you
okay, yeah,
seriously.
UFOs and aliens.
I get laughed out of the building.
And you're like, okay, well, I've been talking about this for a decent 3 decades.
Yeah.
Like, what it's not... To me, I'm like, okay, now the only problem is I don't know if it's actually what we've surmised the whole time. Is it actually there are UFOs, aliens that are showing up? Or is this us and we're baiting ourselves into the whole X-Files, Project Bluebeam, get everybody on board with it? I'm not trying to stoke that fire. I'm just saying that's a real thought, too, of like, if we can project all of this, tomfoolery, if we can allow this to happen again, I think it's kind of like this H.G. Wells War of the Worlds messing with people instead of a radio program. It's real. Like they're doing
it's half truths.
It's a Milgram's experiment to a degree, maybe.
Total psyop.
Yeah.
It's mixed in with a bunch of horse shit. You know what? By the way, I think we missed a couple of the videos of. Hold on a second. Hey, Stone, we still have 2 videos. We have one with the creepy sound, or do we want to play the radio transmission of the right pad?
My hair is crazy.
Wait, here you go. So this is somebody captured this in their car. This is a TikTok. I'm not real sure who the person is, but we'll have that linked in there.
Sounds like Godzilla. We must go now.
It's a really odd sound.
We must go faster. Get to the car. I feel like Ian, Malcolm.
So this sound is basically just transmitting through their car radio.
Is that what's happening?
And they're hovering. There's a drone above them.
Whoa! I didn't understand. That's what was going on.
If we can restart that.
Okay, now I'm down with this. I thought this was like just a noise coming from. That sounds like Signs, like the movie Signs. When
That's
they
what I thought.
talk.
That's what I thought of.
They're talking, like a purring Sasquatch.
Yeah. Nice, Ari.
Okay, what if it's the Sasquatch on board the UFO? Like Sasquatch is like their pet. That's weird.
It's just a creepy sound. Yeah, I don't know.
I'll tell you what.
What the validity
whatever that
of
is, if that really is a sci-fi sound, whoever invented and made all these sounds for sci-fi movies,
pretty good.
Hella close.
Because I just watched Alien Romulus, and that's pretty dope.
I haven't watched that yet.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
There's a few in the Alien series actually I haven't seen. There's a couple.
You haven't seen the one on Hulu? With it's like in ancient times, like the Pleistocene. They're like hunter gatherers. You haven't seen that? It's on Hulu. Yeah, you should check that out.
The last
Predator.
That's Predator.
Oh, that's Predator.
The last Alien that I saw that was really good was Prometheus.
Yes.
Prometheus was really good.
This
really
one's rough. But it sounds like something from Alien Romulus. And then this next one.
Hold on real quick.
Okay,
so there's that one.
ahead.
I don't think we threw a one in here, and it's fine that we didn't, but I don't know if anybody else saw this one. And I think it relates to the same thing, but there was a guy who was filming his microwave of all things.
Yeah, I don't think we.
But it was doing all kinds of weird stuff, and it was beeping, beep, beep, and he was like, "Doesn't that almost sound like Morse code? Like the frequency with which it was doing the tones and patterns, like it was generating. It was like weird because like I've had those stories of Rendlesham Forest and the UFO that came down. The guy that touched it, and then he got hit with this binary image that he then wrote down and was like, "Oh, it's this crazy message about
all these
da 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 da." Like, what if that's what's going on? I mean, to really talk immediately, we're going to try to figure out the lowest form of communication between two species like that.
That is the beginning of the movie Independence Day.
It's the beginning?
Yes.
What do you mean?
Independence Day, they record that weird sound, the signal.
I'd have to see the start of Independence Day.
Yeah, I watched it, I don't know, not too long.
I watched the new one.
Have my back. I know you watched it
You're
recently.
probably right. You're probably right. I'm not...
He just watched it on VHS.
Shut up. Kyle's gone retro.
Kyle has gone retro, folks. He is
working
all about those.
God, that's funny. He's like, "Oh, I got a whole." I'm like, "What VHS?" Like, bro, but now I'm not gonna lie. I want to watch some VHS.
Mr. David Lone Bear Centopath says,
nostalgia.
"We need to be very careful. It's very real." You know, my whole thing is I really want it to be real. We've talked about this.
That's not the reason.
Not that it's real or not real.
I want it to be real, but I'm not like I got to stay objective.
You got to stay objective,
or you can get rugged real quick.
If it is real, that means that things have to start moving a lot quicker.
Not necessarily.
In terms of...
We wouldn't really have any say in what things would move at if another species that's dominant shows up. It'd be like, what do you want us to do?
Yeah, and how would you get that message out there if it is real? I mean, it would take a craft to land right on the White House and walk in, shake Biden's hand.
What if they literally can just show up and Professor X the entire world and be like, okay, you guys don't get to move until we tell you what's up?
Create a fake matrix?
No, they just literally freeze you in place, and they're like, that's what Professor X does in shows. Like in some of the movies, like he just... freezes a whole room of people. Like, you think about it, like we just nuke and launch all these bombs at them and they're coming and they just like literally pause the dimension we're living in and stop that reality, and they come down and they're like, hey, look guys, and these are nice, those are fun, you got to get over this. It's time to wake up, it's time to get out of the infant stage, it's time to quit shooting these things at each other and use them to propel yourself to the stars. You know, if that happens, because again, if we are subservient to a more dominant alpha species out there, because the only reason we rule this world is because we're the biggest geek on the planet. We're not physically gifted that we should dominate this planet. It's because of our intellect.
Our brain.
That's always been the guiding stone that we've now gotten to. That maybe not historically, but now in this new age of humanity, we really think highly of our intellect and our ability to, be smart.
But consciously, we're like.
But if we get shown up real quick,
we're still infants,
right?
When it comes to our consciousness.
If Biff Tannen from the outer galaxy comes down and is like, "What's up, nerd?" and then just like ground pounds us, and we're like, "Okay, well, we just as a species got to learn our place now in the galaxy of federations."
Yeah,
it might happen. It could happen. I don't know. I mean, that's been one of the theories for a long time. Is like it's kind of strange if we're the only thing here and there's nothing else and yada yada, but if there are aliens, why haven't they come here and this and that? Well, they look at us and they're like, these guys are crazy, but now we see them playing with bombs and stuff, so okay, they're getting more developed.
Should we be afraid?
I think realistically, there's historical context about Eisenhower and landing at the Air Force Base and meeting with the Greys and the treaty that was signed, and who knows? Who really knows, dude? I'm just saying, wouldn't you, if you were like, hey, time to us also might be a different perception and construct than another species. So maybe they don't perceive time like we do.
Time is cyclical.
And maybe stopping here in the 50s and coming here now is a second differential to what they're doing and how they're traveling. So like, hey, we're going to see you guys real soon. Get your shit together. We'll be back in 2024. Zip. Now they're here again. They're like, all right, cool. I have no idea. It's a lot of stuff where, again, we kind of like project and idealize off of our human experiences.
Them being us in
hard.
The future makes the most sense to me.
I think that's a good one, and that's
you've
why
been
I want to
hearing
talk
that
to
a
Michael
lot
Masters,
lately. There's
dude.
somebody in the chat that told me that a long time ago. They're us from
time
the future.
travelers,
and then after that, I've heard that from all kinds of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people are kind of coming that. Jeremy Corbell talks about that.
So if that is the case, why? Okay, you said it earlier. So the future is the present. It's immutable, this and that, or whatever. So if they're already in the future, why can't they just come back and tell us, hey,
it's their new present.
We're going to get there. Guys, calm down. Do this, do that. Hey. Or does it have to play out the way it is because that'll get us there?
And are they showing up?
Like, does that mean if there are people from the future, we already get there? We're going to get to time travel. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Does that mean whatever we're doing now, that's why they're not messing with it? It's like, even though it might seem effed up and this might seem effed up, believe me, time travel's coming, guys.
But you've heard the paradox. That's what I was looking for earlier. These paradoxes, like when you go back in time, you can only travel back in time to the year.
Who makes up these
or
rules?
time that the time travel machine was invented.
Why?
That's just one of those paradoxes you hear about.
Why would that?
That's what we talked about with Mike Ricksecker.
That wouldn't make any sense.
Well, think about it. If you can't travel beyond when the time machine was traveled. So if the time machine was invented in 2023.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Okay.
In 2023, you could only travel back in time to 2023. Could you travel back in time to go see the dinosaurs? Maybe not. But then you can travel in the future as far as you want to go.
No, I don't think that works that way for me.
I don't know.
Hold on. Okay. He might be right. And this is why I say it. It's kind of like the Interstellar, and it's also the notion that as light bends around like a planet, it slows down, and as it bends around a dark matter energy, it speeds up. They've measured this, right? So like light coming off a star going around a planet will slow down. Light coming off a star going around, I don't know if it's a black hole or like just dark energy or dark matter, it'll speed up.
Yeah.
They can measure it. They can figure it out. So they're actually like, yeah, that's probably real. So that's why I say you might be right about that, because the way that it would work is that you'd actually be going like so fast interstellar traveling or through a wormhole that you literally are going so much faster that you could get ahead in time. It's kind of like how Matthew McConaughey is like 40 and his daughter's like 100.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you time travel.
And he's hearing through the walls.
I don't know how you go back in time.
She's hearing like a ghost.
I'm saying that
it's
part,
not a ghost.
Not
it's
that
him.
part. I'm saying when he sees her in the hospital.
Okay.
She's like an old lady. She's a grandmother. He never saw any of that because he's time traveling. Like, he's literally in space, ripping through a black hole, whatever it is. But that's how that works. That's what Mike's saying, I think. That's why what he's saying is once we develop it, we can go forward, but we can't come back. I was taught time doesn't exist. I'm with you, David. As someone who's terrible about being on time as well, it's also a pinch point in my life. But
remember our boy Ben. Shout out to Ben.
Yeah, time's all just a creation of.
Remember when
we like to measure things.
We were camping around the fire, and he took off his watch and said, "Time is a waste of time," and threw his watch in the fire.
Oh yeah,
boom! That clicked with me. That really hit, because it is. I mean, mostly everything is an illusion that we're creating. Like we're creating things into this reality.
All of it.
Is it it's a projection, or
it's only ways for us to understand
hologram.
it. It's only tools for us to measure so that we can make a clock, so that we can say tomorrow be here at this time and this and that and whatever. Like that's how we have we're trying to understand everything. So we're trying to be like, well, this is what an inch is, and well, that's what a photon is, and well, this is what light is, and what we're literally trying to figure out everything. Instead of like, oh, that was a delicious pie, it's like somebody's like, oh, there was this much sugar in it and that much flour, and
there's only the present that exists.
We're trying to break down the existence, but we mentioned this the other day, where if it is a simulation, it's kind of like playing again. I'm going to use Zelda because it's a very good example of this. It's a large world, open world game where I know there's this map and I can go to it, right? But when I'm running through that world, all of the world is rendering for me, meaning there's certain distances away I can't see that aren't actually being rendered. Why would you render it in this video game? So as you get closer, it renders it out and it makes it real, which is kind of what the universe and our reality seems to be doing to us in certain ways. Because again, even at CERN, Large Hadron Collider, you're looking for the Higgs boson, you're looking for the God particle, you're looking for whatever. And there was a physicist that said something basically like, it's really weird. Every time we look for something, we find it.
Right. There you go. It's rendering it.
It's there.
When you look for it.
What we expect for, it's there somehow.
Behind us is a sea of possibilities until the observer observes the thing, and then all of those waves or whatever, they become a thing, a material.
Yeah.
They become an object that you see, but it's all unrendered of whatever you're observing.
Yes. So if there's a lot of dark energy out there and dark matter, maybe that's what's rendering.
The dark matter's the renderer.
Dark matter is just the CPU and the RAM waiting for you to need something to see.
And creates the pixels and the movement.
And it makes it for you, and it kicks it up, and it turns it on, and
wow. I promised we didn't take mushrooms before this episode, guys.
pretty good. Necro had a good point in there too about time
Necro,
traveling.
what
That
up,
if you want
buddy?
to time travel, you couldn't just time travel. You'd also had to calibrate where in space you're going. All right.
Yep.
Kind of the whole premise with if you're an X-Men fan, with Nightcrawler teleportation.
Yeah.
Needing to see where he's going to go. You don't want to be like the Philadelphia experiment and end up in the floor of the naval ship out in the ocean.
I believe that one.
I want to have anybody on that's a subject matter expert in the Philadelphia experiment. I would be just thrilled. I wouldn't even want to say a word. If you know a lot about the Philadelphia experiment or have any firsthand knowledge on that, come on. Let's hear it. Because
Bring it
I've heard
on.
some really good stories about that. And I heard one in particular was a guy that was on Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie, I believe. Or maybe even Art Bell back in the day. It might have been. It's an old one. It's Art Bell. It's a historical.
Art
and the
Bell's
guy
the best.
talks about how what happened during that, and he was in the Navy.
Yeah, yeah,
and he's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, I time traveled.
Yeah.
Oh, I went back in time.
And then some of them came back.
They did come back, but some people got fused into the floor of the
Yes.
fucking ship.
Yes.
And like, oh, sorry about the F-bomb there, but you know, there's some weird stuff that happened, and it was a catastrophe. You're darn right. It's just, is this one of those like somebody said the other day? Okay, if we had the power of like all these different ways to attain 0 point energy and this and that.
Quote,
Yes,
free energy.
yes, it could like have the power of like whatever the sun in this thing to give us all this energy, but at the same time, it has the literal power to like crack the planet in half.
Well, look at
Like
the Great
it's just-
Pyramid. Those giant cracks and the huge
I'm not
cracks
saying that.
inside
I'm
the
saying
chamber.
split, like not just like a like blast it.
But
in
you know
half.
what? There's evidence of like Darren Kuyu,
No,
or sorry,
you're not- I'm saying
Mohenjo-Daro.
literally cut it in half and
Yeah.
half and half. Not just a big
I see what
explosion.
you're
I mean
saying.
like
Yeah.
the power to dice
To
a planet in half like a pea.
Yeah,
like an atom.
some Voltron.
That's
like,
what I'm saying. Like those levels, it's kind of like the Peter Parker syndrome. With great power comes great responsibility.
And right now, are we evolved enough to have all this type of
What did we say
free
earlier?
energy technology? Or
I think, well, Stoner threw a curveball to me because I said, you think ET's driving around and has a intergalactic wallet? And he goes, well, if you look at all these freaking space shows and they, you know, always have different like outposts and different trade and commerce and stuff. Like, yeah, you're right. But I was like, I was thinking of like the Greys. Like nobody ever finds like the wallet of the Grey that
they
came in
don't
and
need
abducted
money.
you. You don't find it on
We
the
were
ground.
talking about how money is a construct that goes back to Babylonian times.
It's a construct.
It's a construct of
diorama we
of
made up.
debt, slavery, whatever, to control people, and so if you have this type of, because society is based around oil, it's based around moving energy, capturing energy.
It's about more than oil, but it's about
oil,
many things.
transportation. Just think about it though; it runs it's all about energy. So if we don't have energy, do
Modern
you need
society.
jobs? Do you need money? Do you need those things if you don't have, if your whole society
Oh, you're
is
talking about
based
free
off
energy.
of, if you
Sure.
have free energy and you don't need oil production
don't-
and natural gas and
I don't think we need to look any further than Tesla. I mean, I think he realistically figured it out back in his time already. I'm not even joking.
yeah.
Wholeheartedly believe that. And the amount of I was just reading that last comment. Sorry, it stopped me. But even after his death, when they took off Tesla's documents and paperwork, and that kind of just went hush hush, signed, sealed,
The
delivered.
67
Whatever his
giant
stuff was, all
crates.
his stuff that went out and went missing.
Yeah, there were
I mean, a ton of
67
things.
giant trunks. You remember trunks? Like people had luggage back
Got
in the
one
day.
in my house.
These
I've got one.
huge trunks.
I
There were
have one.
67, and the place in, I believe it's Belgium or somewhere, where the
Why the
there's
hell do they
a
have it?
Tesla museum or wherever
we-
he's from.
Oh, you know
Poland,
what? That's right. They
Wherever
should
he's
send him
from.
back, though.
But there's 8 or 10 of these trunks missing. And that's like the whole conspiracy with Donald Trump's uncle was the scientist that was in charge.
He was, wasn't he?
I don't know
if it was a conspiracy. Real. I think he really was.
Yeah, he might actually, because he does talk about his uncle being a physicist and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that's a real thing, but that's even more in the weeds. I was just trying to say, did we figure it out at one point? Yes. Why did we not want it again? Short-sightedness of, hey, I'm living high on the hog and making money. That's, it's one of those things where I'm like, I have a conflicted feeling on a lot of things. Financially is the same. Capitalism, this and that. Capitalism does a lot, but it also doesn't do a lot, right? It's always...
Somebody's always going to get crushed. And somebody's always going to do way, 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 way better. And there's other people. But that's crony capitalism,
but I think that's it. I think that's it.
We don't have a real free market capitalism.
I think you said it, though, right there, though. In my brain, the way I heard it was, there's a winner or a loser. And I don't think there necessarily has to be a winner and a loser. The problem with right now that we talk about a lot is there are winners that win egregiously to those that lose.
They're hitting homers.
I'm not saying one way or the other. I'm just saying, at a point, my idealistic nature wants to get to a point where we're like, hey, the robots are doing everything.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need to do anything.
Well, then you can actually discover what you're truly meant to do and what your purpose is.
Right. You could take time to find your higher purpose. And I'm sorry.
That sounds woo-woo, but
some people like what they do. That's fine. And I'm not saying I don't like what I do, okay, for a living, for work, this and that. But if you asked anybody tomorrow, if you did not have to go work your job that you work and you could do whatever you want to do, what would you do? And some people have no clue. And I'm like, I would start gardening immediately. I would have the sweetest garden because I already have a lot of plants indoors. I know things that I like to do. And what I find is self-discovery through doing stuff like that, right? Like, I have little experiments all the time while I'm mentally just thinking about stuff while I'm doing stuff like that as well. I like doing two birds at one stone type things.
Oh, it's meditative for sure. Yeah. Gardening is.
But we had a conversation with somebody where it was like, with all the drone stuff and this and that, and if the UAP and it's aliens and whatever, how many people are just not going to be able to deal with that? Because it's like, we talked about how many people wouldn't know what to do if they didn't have their job every day. And it's like, I could tell you what I would do. I would be drinking strong coffee and I would be looking for UFOs.
I don't think people care all that much. Right now, all this is happening.
But that's because I think societally speaking, people were used to what we were living with.
If you're not in New Jersey, there's a lot of people that don't give a damn about any of this that's happening right now. We said it then. Hey, all these hearings are going on. Nobody gives a damn. There's nobody outside of our little bro zone and weirdos that we hang out with and people in the Discord and people and other podcasters that we've gotten to know. They all know about it. Mike Ricksecker, Cryptids of the Corn, Joel Tom, these guys know about it.
Maybe they'll be the new Amish of the planet. Because I'm going interstellar. You guys can sit here and hang out. I'm going interstellar. I don't even care if my wife doesn't want to go. I'll be back. I can go on a weekend trip. I can definitely take a intergalactic trip. I'm sure it's safe. I bet they have waivers. I bet they let you sign some waivers.
I don't think we're there yet, bud. And you're not on the list to go. By the way, sorry to break it to you.
I want to go. You know what? I think they're intimidated. I don't think they would know what to do with all this. I would talk their ear off.
Yeah, you'd be on the
like,
list.
So what about this conspiracy?
Check.
They'd be like, this kid was on the chaperone list on his 8th grade field trip to Washington, D.C. Do not abduct him. He will definitely push a button that will cause a problem in our UFO. I was at the dentist one time and I just wanted
the big red button.
Yeah. I was at the dentist one time and I just wanted to kind of lay the head back a little bit and I thought I knew which button the lady had pressed. So I pressed it and dude, it laid the chair all the way flat and then it raised it up like 6 feet in the air. So when they came back in the room, I was like laid back like a surgical patient. I was just laying on this chair and they were like, "Did you do something?" I was like, "No." And I was like, "Of course I did. I mean, obviously this chair wasn't in this position when you left." So
you remember that Ren and Stimpy episode, Space Madness?
I didn't have Ren and Stimpy.
What?
I didn't have cable.
You didn't have Nickelodeon?
We've talked about
You've
known me my whole life, and you know that I never had cable as a kid. I had satellite dish when we started.
You and my wife.
Satellite dish is freshman high school.
Yeah, you did have satellite, but
we still didn't have Nickelodeon.
So the Ren and Stimpy episode,
we could figure out what the code was
Space
to watch
Madness.
the R-rated movies on the weekend.
Yes, you did. You did crack the
code.
code.
Tell you what, that's when I used to be a code breaker.
Army code breaker, like that level.
I'll bet my dad had to be so pissed every other month or whatever
It'd be unlocked.
it was.
God damn.
I don't even know because I'd relock it. I think he just somehow they had to had a history back then of like, hey, somebody.
No.
They didn't have smartphones. We'll say that for sure because Ted Bundy was running around like it was, Studio 54 everywhere. Anyhow,
He sure was.
Neither here nor there.
Whatever.
It's a lot to digest. Yeah, David Lone Bear said, this is happening all around the world too.
Exactly.
The awakening, the drone appearances, the kind of, again, maybe all this just ends in a week or two. I don't know. Was there another one?
But you know what?
Got a question. Did you have one more that we were supposed to go over?
We did, yeah.
What?
Scratch the last article. Let's go through it.
What was it?
I'm not sure what it was.
I
thought the Right Pat article was the last one.
I gotta check here now. I
Maybe
don't
that's
miss
an old
something
note.
if we had something. It could be old, but
Stone, do you remember, or do you have one more?
we say no. We're sorry, folks. We had a lot. That's totally fine.
Oh yeah, we don't
Agreed.
have to go back.
No worries. I just wanted to make sure I didn't want to miss something if we had something to cover.
The one video that we didn't play, we don't have to play it. I don't really care, but it was a TikTok of a whole bunch of cars in a parking lot with all the lights flashing on and off and alarms going on and off. So whatever's going on with people's cars, New Jersey's getting a lot of heat. There's stuff going on in California. Apparently, someone from the chat earlier, Southern Ohio, which is a hotbed of strange.
I want to hear from you. I want to hear from you. I want to see it. If you can get a photo of it, if anybody has a good telescoping or telephoto lens that you can like really zoom in, because some of these pictures and videos are, again, you're like, what is that?
Pretty compelling.
Is that a plasma ball? Yeah. And I would also say just be safe out there. Keep your distance from all this stuff. Try not to get in trouble, but explore and
don't be afraid. Don't be scared. They're trying to ramp up the fear. You got to be aware of that.
I'm just saying, I don't want something falling on me.
Yeah, be cautious, but put that fear to bed, man. That's how they control all of us. Do you have to be aware? Absolutely. But let's not freak out. Let's not panic. And don't prove them fools wrong, or prove them correct, I should say, to say that people can't handle this information. We can handle it.
I mean, they haven't.
Bring it on.
Yeah,
let's go.
That's the historical connotation of, you guys would. Okay, well.
That's from 1945. Let's move on. Let's go. We need free energy. We need this technology. Can we handle it? Is the end of money coming? Is the end of our traditional? They're holding on for dear life, man. They got to make those oil profits while they can. We're holding on.
I'll tell you what I'm looking forward to. A bathrobe and jelly shoes and a white Russian and not waking up
You just
to
be
go
the bro,
grind.
the dude.
Yeah. I would love to be the new age, like, sci-fi Lebowski. That needs to be the next film, is kind of like, instead of, Guardians of the Galaxy, it's just like the Lebowski of the galaxy. Like the dude of the galaxy. Because, if we're getting to that level, again, we can drop all the other BS. And what I mean by that is, if it just literally shows up like, hey, well, if there's UFOs and interstellar travel and this and that, and they also have this amount of energy, you're right, the dude does abide. They already have it figured out. It's literally like, it's just like a snake. We'll have to shed all this. We'll have to not care about the fact that, I bought a better car than you, or I have a bigger house than you, or I've saved more money, or I've done more. There's no comparing. Like, that's one of the things that's really tough in general, but it's what we do as a species. We want to make sure that we have enough, that we're, we're not missing out. FOMO. We're getting our equal share, whatever it is. And agreed, but it'll be nice to be like, and it's a weird thought. It's a hard thought to have, but if you could just go, there's none left. Mm-hmm. There is no more need for a jealousy or a keeping up with the Joneses. I don't know if the aliens are like, you got the new model, Jeff? I'm going to go down to the dealership and get the new UFO model.
But
I think the mothership's just like, bro, we all get these dope fleets, and like they're making these sweet biological UFOs, and
you can 3D print everything and have replicating
I don't
machines.
think they're financing UFOs. I think they're signing a 36-month lease with 0% APR down on
Where do you think all the black
sport
budget,
model UFO? I'm not talking about us. I'm talking about aliens.
Yeah.
You think they go down to the dealer? Maybe I don't know. Maybe they do.
Can I test drive this really blinky one?
Maybe that's what UFO crashes are. Maybe UFO crashes are interstellar test drives that people are like, well, I really didn't understand the turbo.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, Roswell happens.
Well,
how'd you guys get here? We just wrecked. Please, can we go home? Next thing you know, you're getting tortured and zapped and telepathically interrogated by, some 1950s colonel on a black ops site. You know what I mean? Just a wrong turn. They're the Betty and Barney Hill of the galaxy.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
You don't want to be Betty and Barney.
I'm sorry. I have a lot of theories on this stuff, and every time we talk about it, I start to think of things a little bit differently, too. I always get a different take on it somehow. And it just keeps morphing.
Yeah, bouncing these ideas off of all these fantastic people out here and each other. I mean, this is the stuff we talk about and have talked about for fun.
All the time.
This
is like life's work of talking.
Years and years.
Yeah.
So we just decided to point some cameras and put some mics in front of ourselves.
What if, here's one of the final thoughts I'll leave you with. I heard this theory that one of the reasons that governments, powers that be, etc., don't want to put credence to UFOs, ETs, biologics, whatever you want to call it, something outside of us, from another planet, maybe from another time, whatever. The reason that they don't want to tell us about it, talk about it, fan the flames, is because the more they talk about it and the more there is a belief by us, there's a more that they're actually able to materialize and come onto our plane of existence.
Sure.
And that was a weird thing because it was kind of like, really? But then the more you think about it, the more the collective consciousness. Yeah. We don't understand all the physics of the world.
There you go.
And there might be something within collective consciousness, just like the Aboriginals came out of the dream time to where we are now. Maybe we literally manifest some of these things into existence. Mm-hmm. Or we allow them the ability to be on our plane of existence by giving them enough acknowledgement. Kind of like the John Keel. When you look at it and it sees you noticed, now it's going to come back. Now it's going to try to get you to notice, and you're kind of in its purview now. That's final thought I have.
But we have to evolve together as a collective consciousness to get to a point where all of a sudden they start showing up.
I get it.
Is that what's going on? We're all waking up, becoming more conscious beings?
I don't know.
Or is it because we're almost starting World War III and they're freaked out that we're going to be launching nukes at each other?
No.
Now they're all here.
I think it's more, again, look.
It's not Diddy.
How many years has Ancient Aliens been on?
Oh, 25.
No.
At this point, 20th season. Yeah, 20th season. Yeah.
Well, season, but how many years?
Well, I
don't know what a season runs.
I think it's one year. They don't do, it's not like a old sitcom where there's multiple
been running
seasons.
20 years.
Damn.
No, that can't be right.
Yeah.
Since 2009.
Okay, 15
Season
years.
20 premiered on March 1st, 2024. So, yeah, okay. 15 years. That's still a long time. What I'm saying is, when Ancient Aliens started, does anybody know why it's such a great show still and why it has such a loyal fan base?
Because
there was nothing else like it. There was nothing else like it.
Can you do this section in David Hatcher Children's Children's
There was nothing like it. Archaeologists sometimes did specials and one-off interviews with Charlton Heston, and they were very good. But the community at large had a desire for more conversation.
Bob has the best David Hatcher Children's impression.
I love the HC.
We love the HC.
I used to listen to him talking about Kincaid going into the Grand Canyon when I was a travel nurse in 2009, working at night at the hospital on YouTube.
And David.
Because there weren't even podcasts back then. I've been on these trails for a long time listening about Skinwalker Ranch and Sasquatches. So again, this stuff has been cooking.
Oh, it's
for 15 years.
Simmering.
It's been in the zeitgeist for 15 years. Now, before that, not saying it wasn't there. There's Unsolved Mysteries. There's all these other shows that might have a UFO here or there. There's been nothing that was dedicated to the Von Daniken kind of stitch-in
theory.
Right. And again, what did that do? It just kind of starts seasoning the social conversation with this new topic that before I'd always try to find as much information as I could, but there wasn't that much. Before Ancient Aliens was a lot like being a Packers fan back in the 80s in Ohio. You wanted something Packers related merch?
Couldn't buy it in Ohio.
Drive your ass to Green Bay and buy it. That's about the only place you're going to get it, unless your mom handmade it, because there just wasn't any. Right? How weird is that? So as there's more and more now, as once Ancient Aliens came out, it was like, that's great, and then it just, and the openness to all of that was like, people realize, man, people are hungry for some of these off the beaten path topics. That's what we said when we first started this podcast. Was like, again, people are down for Sasquatch, and wow, never knew there was such a strong.
That's been in the last 4 years.
But I know it's gotten really ramped up, and people are really. They want, again, I think we're just tired of getting stonewalled and turned down and not really getting answers. And people are like, there's stuff happening out there. I'm going to go start just finding out what I can find out and screw the mainstream narrative or the accepted historical norm. And again, Graham with Ancient Apocalypse and doing stuff like that.
Look at Netflix. Netflix has put out at least 10 ET related documentaries.
It's awesome.
In the last year and a half.
George Knapp's Investigation Alien.
Yes.
Awesome.
The one about the Manhattan UFO abduction story where that woman was being taken out of her room. Good. I mean, that's just been in the last, few months.
Yeah.
Netflix is, and then if you go on Amazon, dude, you can't even go at all without seeing a UFO documentary, an alien documentary.
Well, sure.
Amazon Video, it's unbelievable.
I did. Maybe we'll have to throw this in the notes too. I watched a movie today on YouTube after I found this clip today on I think it was on X, but the movie's called Alien Code. It's really fun. You can YouTube it and find it for free if you want to watch a cool indie film. It's not gory, it's not this, it's not that, but it's kind of like everything. It's some dude that's a programmer, decoder. There's Men in Black. There's, some anomalous object in outer space that we're communicating with, decode this signal. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like this kind of like certain scenarios that almost have happened in folklore.
Yeah.
In UFO community. A lot like the X-Files, how when you watch it back, you're like, man, that's from an actual article. Up. That's from a real account. Yeah. That's from a real story. Like a lot of that they pulled from real contextual resources. And this movie was a lot of fun. I thought it had really great thought-provoking concepts in it too, where I didn't expect it from a film that I was like, maybe this will be good on YouTube. It was great, way better than I expected. So Alien Code,
check it out. Free YouTube.
Yep. Nice little holiday film if you want to watch over the break. It is a good thought provoker.
Hey, let's put this baby to bed, buddy.
Put it to bed.
We went
have that second cheeseburger I have.
We went all around the world on this one, all around the universe, in and out. It's a good one. Fun times. Thank you to each and every one of you guys. We had the chat just blowing up. Bravo to all you guys.
Yeah, strong showing.
We had some old friends pop in the chat. Good to see all of you guys. Looking forward to the future conversations. You guys are great. Love, peace, and chicken grease. We are out.
Later.
Bye-bye. And old Rolo's getting up to stretch.
Oh, Bozeman. Bozeman, Montana.
You're a good boy. You're a good boy.
Hi, Bozeman.